short just for a moment or two, but seems as though they arrived at the right decision. In the end, Denny Jonro is the meat and the sandwich there between Muller and Schwegler, I think it was. And by the looks of it, that didn't tickle.
Well, Schwegler gets the ball, clearly. I think that was the nudge from Muller, which has drawn the foul. Jonro bursting away. It's a clear sandwich. No question that it should be a foul.
Maybe that follow-through from Muller was what caused all the pain for Denny Jonro. German international with 2 caps. Denny Jonro restored to the City starting 11 tonight. Making his work short for Cabrera. Curtis Good was the target. He scored in City's last home game against the Central Coast Mariners from a set-piece situation. Already you'd fancy the scene is set for a cracking contest between these two teams. As mentioned, 3rd and 1st in the A-League at start of play.
We just want to reference a comment made by Bozza in the pre-game show, which I thought was a really good one. And he made the point, Bozza, that teams that have been building a case and getting out of games because of defending can fall into the habit of relying on that defence. And let's hope for the Wanderers that they don't fall into that habit now that they've taken the early lead. Because to continue Bozza's line of thinking, it would be a natural thing for players of that mentality to do. It served them well to get them this far, but I don't think it's going to serve them against Melbourne City if they drop off and start playing that defence game again and ignore their attack.
Thumping collision involving Javier Cabrera. Accidental on Schwegler, but doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Schwegler's okay. Limped off, you might remember, in the recent home game against Brisbane Roar pretty early on, and there were fears that he might miss quite a few weeks with what looked like a problematic hamstring injury, but he recovered remarkably well. The climb in the air by Duke, but steadied down by Harrison Delbridge, who will drive forward towards halfway. Cannons of Schwegler. Drops the way of City and Jamison. Georgievski with the intervention. Schwegler down the line, slightly too far in advance of Muller. It's slid out by Roston Griffiths. Says Dylan McGowan. It's the return off Georgievski. Kamau does offer that natural width for the Wanderers down the right. Which you might remember, he spent a large chunk of last season playing as a right fullback. Not sure he was too impressed with that. His persistence, along with Nikolai Muller, has won it back for the Wanderers, but telegraph towards Roston Griffiths, sorted out by Cabrera. Now City will look to build through Galloway on the right. Strong run from midfield. Josh Brillante given increasing licence to roam further forward this year by Eric Mombert.
And Noon looked to reward it. Just mishit the pass. Brillante was in behind, and an accurate pass, and as we speak, Melbourne City would be in on goal.
He's got your moustache, Andy, Josh Brillante.
He's my benchmark. Well, now that Michael Bugard at Newcastle, Nigel's dad has shaved his off.
It's your tribute.
I've only got one idol now. Josh Brillante.
Strong play by Yeboah. Kamau, teasing ball at Duke. And Bazanis grasps onto the ball gratefully. But it was another exciting move from the Wanderers. Quick release upfield and beautifully killed by Cabrera, but it's too strong for McLaren.
Unfortunate. There's a great attack by the Wanderers. An excellent keeping from Dean Bazanis. for the distribution, if nothing else. Well done, Kwame Yeboah, and the ball floated to the back stick. Great chance this for the Wanderers, just a little bit high for Mitch Duke. And look at Bazana, straight to his feet and launched it 55 on the fly to put Melbourne City on the front foot. Great to watch.
Raids from the Wanderers, looking a fair bit more potent. I wonder what Alexander Meyer is thinking round about now. Left on the bench tonight, whether that's totally injury related or not. Marcus Babbel obviously feeling that it was time to switch things around, get a little bit more thrust.
No, I just think with Alexander Meyer, for a team that was struggling and has been struggling in possession, he doesn't have the mobility to plug the holes. And until the Wanderers can get into a dominant possession philosophy, Alexander Meyer is going to find it difficult to be anything more than peripheral. It's a big call to make of such a fantastic player
sure
with a great record. But he can thank his teammates' poor possession play to this point, I think, at least in part, for him being on the pine.
Already, I don't know if you agree, Haas, but they look to have a lot more about them in that front third. Helped on by Yeboah. This has come out. He was caught there by Griffiths, but advantage played by Chris Beath. In fact, he will now bring them back. It's a good referee. Just waited to see if there's an advantage accrued.
There's no particular advantage in the free kick, though. And let it go. If you've really got the irrits, give him a yellow card.
Crossfield by Ziegler. Good to see him getting regular football again after his long injury layoff. He has made a strong start, looks to be in pretty good touch. Yeboah. That's his first A-League goal of any kind since January of this year. And that strike after 82 seconds. Jabbed in field by Wilmering. So a little bit high for Mitch Duke to control, and Bazanis will clear off field.
Unbelievable amount of defensive work in midfield being done by Roston Griffiths at the moment. Unbelievable. Plugging up gaps everywhere. Superb performance by him today.
McGowan. Duke was drawn towards the ball. Solitary away win for Melbourne City against the Wanderers came on New Year's Day of this year. It's ANZ Stadium, a 2-0 win. Otherwise, it's been pretty slim pickings in this part of the world for Melbourne City. Yet again, they are chasing the game here. Swept crossfield by Good. Brillante again in an advanced position, but well defended by Sullivan. He's not going to get the throw that he wants, though. Good feet by Galloway. So for City, the pass didn't quite match it, and Wilmering was able to slide in. Delbridge. So caught between two lines there, Harrison Delbridge, but he sorted it out in the end ahead of Kwame Yeboah. He was trying to do to angle it in front of Brillante, but Ziegler read it.
But defensively, the Wanderers have been outstanding. Babel, with now gone to a back four, has employed two number 6 midfielders, 2 defensive midfielders. Mombads sets his 4-3-3 up to work triangles on either sideline, and deploying that extra 6, so you've got defensive midfielders on either side in each half, enables you to squeeze and populate that little channel where Mombatz sets his attacking midfielder with his fullback and the striker to make a little triangle, and the Wanderers have plugged it brilliantly. No way through so far for Melbourne City.
Advantage Germany in the technical zone. Let's hope it's a bit friendlier than Schumacher-Battiston all those years ago.
Still haven't forgiven him. One of the great teams, denied by brutality.
It's a real battle of style tonight, not just on the pitch either. Marcus Babbel's peaky blinder chic, contrasting to Eric Mombert's Roy Orbison tribute.
He's got a little bit of French next to him as well anyway, so it's not that cut and dried.
Mauritian anyway.
French Mauritian.
It's John Paul de Marini, of course.
Well, there's Mauritian on the other bench as well.
Alain Fiat.
Paddy Kusnova.
That's true. So the question now for Melbourne City, how to breach the A-League's meanest defence, which has conceded just 4 times this season. So far, not so much as a sniff of an opening for Jamie McLaren. Here's Cabrera. Square by Good. Delbridge to fire it out towards Craig Noon.
Here's where these passages of play are really instructive. The Melbourne City looking going side to side, and they're trying to get these balls into the pocket, not over the top necessarily, and that's the frustration that comes from the work that the Wanderers have been doing in defence. A really good start by the home team, of course, buoyed by the early goal.
We mentioned, of course, the omission of Meyer tonight, but equally interesting is that of Keanu Bacchus, who's been a regular first-team pick for Marcus Babbel. Maybe Sullivan has been introduced tonight specifically with that role in mind.
Maybe physically wise, but we asked Dylan McGowan pre-game, and I think it's his late return back to Australia. The mail out of that China tour, and I'm very grateful for Gary Van Egmond for communicating this, just how well Keanu Bacchus did in that tournament. So it's nothing to do with his form. Coach was really pleased with him, indeed. Remy Nazarene on the Melbourne City bench was the best of the group, which is great news.
Duke trying to release the outside of the boot for Kamau, was looking to make the run in behind the fullback, Scott Jamieson. Lovely distribution by Bazanis. Forward by Delbridge, gets the return from Brillante. And, Delbridge decides to drive forward himself and try and create a bit of space. Worked out by Jean-Ro towards Cabrera on the left. Scott Jamieson calling for it. Square it goes for Galloway. And now with Noon. Galloway. Now they've found a little bit of room for Brillante, who's got away from Sullivan. Good ball in towards McLaren Hall. And I think it's caught his teammate Danny Jean-Ro a little bit by surprise, that, because he's headed well wide.
Well, they did spring the trap. Brillante breaking free. Something out of the 1970s English First Division. Brilliant sight. He knows we're talking about him.
You ever seen Life on Mars?
No.
That's Josh Brillante. He could be starring in that series. With the big sideys.
But that sequence of play was actually enabled by the drive into midfield from Harrison Delbridge. Otherwise, the door was locked. And congratulations to Delbridge for finding an answer to break the Wanderers open, and then from that, Melbourne City were able to play. It took them a while, actually, then ultimately to get Brillante in behind. But the initial work by Delbridge was telling.
Maybe that's what it's going to need for City tonight, some creative solutions. Here's McLaren. Ziegler sticking very tight, and there were three of them around him. Schwegler flew in on John Rowe. Chris Beath happy to let that one ride because City have the ball. John Rowe's coming for a little bit of treatment in the early phase of this game. Jamison. McLaren having to work hard to get involved. John Rowe. Delbridge. Back from Brillante. Wanderers staying compact. Cabrera. John Rowe. It's well played. It's Javier Cabrera. It thumps back off Dylan McGowan. Just a glimmer of an opening there for City. They had to work really hard to create it.
Well, this is, from a Wanderers viewpoint, just a little bit too much possession now for Melbourne City. They got upset the apple cart again. City growing in confidence.
John Rowe. Rail for Josh Brillante, can hit them. Oh, and it's tipped over. Really good save by Daniel Lopa. But City are coming. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. John Rowe skipped forward beautifully there. And this is, if anything, this is a sign of the Wanderers just losing their grip. Just before the John Rowe bit was the Cabrera shot. John Rowe slicing through the tackle affected by Georgescu. It only served to present the ball on a plate to Josh Brillante, who forced some good work by Lopa.
And it needed the touch, didn't it? It's the best save percentage of any goalkeeper in the league. It's Daniel Lopa. Ready to be at his best. Jamison looking for movement, gets it from Cabrera. City make incremental progress. Scott Jamison. Deflection favoured the Wanderers initially. Nodded back by Good. John Rowe ran out of room.
Josh Brillante sizing things up, and it was going to hit the back of the net, but great stretch by Lopez. Impressed this season, and it was some of his better work then. But the game has completely swung towards Melbourne City. You can barely get a touch, the Wanderers, and this is their issue. It's not that the players aren't good enough. It's a great 11 that started tonight with reinforcements on the bench. Their inability to keep possession is a huge concern, because Melbourne City will keep coming, and they're not going to not score. If you keep letting them have the ball and dominating you, they'll score.
We've seen this pattern a lot, haven't we, with the Wanderers this season, but they've got the ball here through Yeboah, who finds Bruce Kamau. Well, there's nobody really to try and hit in the middle, so that made the angle ever so acute for the winger. Again, enterprising play from Kwame Yeboah.
Well, this is a hint of the quality. And they need to be able to do it, not just on the counter-attack. They need to use that ability to secure possession and turn away from defenders in the build-ups as well.
Kamau's a bit unfortunate there. 42 appearances in Melbourne City blue prior to a switch to the Wanderers. 2-year stint that ended in 2018. Missing in action so far this season due to a groin injury. Here's Curtis Good, who's following Delbridge's lead and trying to inject himself into the attack. John Rowe. Touch was a little bit short from Brillante. That's better. Georgievski got a foot in though. Look how tight it is in there. It'll break now for Yeboah. Muller. Upended by Delbridge. Clear free kick.
It was Kwame Yeboah's a little frustrated. He thought there was more on offer there. I tend to think he was right. Perhaps didn't sense or see what was on offer.
Delbridge across the legs of the German. He's still in some discomfort. There's disciplinary issues this season. Harrison Delbridge, of course, got sent off against Western United. Not that it affected his teammates. They still won that particular derby encounter by 2-1. Losing out to Cabrera. Could be something on here for McLaren. Ball was quickly shot by Patrick Ziegler, and flag was up in any case against McLaren for offside. Just worth repeating those stats this season, Andy. 17 goals in 11 games for club and country. That's League, Cup, Internationals, Friendlies, the lot. They're just ridiculous numbers, aren't they?
It's great, isn't it? He's been in great nick, and they've been good finishes too, the majority of them. He's relied on a series of tap-ins, and also added to his headed goal total. Some really good ones. Great form, Jamie McLaren.
Looking tonight to become the first player in A-League history to score 2 or more goals in 4 consecutive matches. Settled for 1 at the moment with City trailing. Lante trying to do something about that. Jean-Rowe with Kamau sticking tight to him. Jamison will lift it into the box, and Noon arriving at the far post. Couldn't really control the header. And McLaren goes careering into Lopa, and the Wanderers get the whistle. Just any your thoughts on Craig Noon? He had such a brilliant FFA Cup campaign, including scoring twice against the Wanderers in that quarter-final win by 3-0. Has he repeated that yet in the A-League?
I think he's plateaued a little bit, but I think he's still offered plenty.
Not that he's playing poorly by any stretch.
Exactly. But there has been a plateau. I think he's still contributing. Good thing is for him and his team and his fans that they've seen what he can deliver, and he's just not far away from it. He's fitted in really well to the A-League, certainly to his club. Rightly expect more gold at the end of that rainbow. So a lot of applause from the Wanderers players for the ball winning there. Let's see what they do about moving out from the back with the ball, and they've really been a clear second best in the last 15 minutes or so to Melbourne City in that discussion, and again it's a giveaway.
Just invites pressure, doesn't it? Which Melbourne City will be more than happy to apply. Here's Jean-Rowe, but that's a good track back by Bruce Kamau, just to steal the ball on the blind side. Now there could be some joy for the Wanderers going forward. Kamau looking to launch it early. In the air by Delbridge. Austin Griffiths dallied a little bit too long. Oh, and there's a bit of afters here involving Delbridge and Georgievski. Delbridge, that late challenge on Nikolai Muller some minutes ago, doesn't escape this time, gets the game's first caution.
He got his team out of a sticky pot there, Harrison Delbridge. It was only because of the length of his leg that stopped the breakaway, and now he's just got to throw his body in. I mean, Daniel Georgievski reacts, but he'd have done the same. I'm not complaining about the yellow card, but it's a great stretch there. It's just gone off screen. If he doesn't make that, then Muller's away. And if he doesn't make that, Georgescu's away. He's just throwing himself for the cause. You've got to admire it. Understand Georgescu's reaction.
Free kick, dead straight. Clement Schwegler on by Ziegler then at the back post, but McGowan couldn't reach the one at the near. That'll be a goal kick off Schwegler.
Too heavy. Too heavy. And this has been a virus that's going through the Wanderers team. Good players, heavy contact with the ball, turning over possession.
I wonder if there's a remedy for that. Maybe Adam Peacock's got the answer. He's touchline for us, Adam.
I don't have the answers to much. As Bruce Kamau cuts that one out, and I'll go back to you, Simon, in this moment of transition.
Yeah, Kamau on the right, looking to whip it in low. So Delbridge was well positioned. City will quite easily be able to get out. Should be able to. Jean Rowe. Oh, and he was hassled and harried by Kamau. Miller couldn't control it. Duke trying to slide to retrieve it. He's picked up a whack as well for the Wanderers. Melbourne City just a little bit casual there, but now they're up at the other end through Josh Brillante on the right. Galloway in advance of him. Had Cabrera short had he wanted him. Craig Noon might find an angle here to curl it, and had Lopar worried for a moment. But it will be a goal kick, and now Chris Beath will go and check on the welfare of Mitch Duke, and we can return back down to Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Just on Mitch Duke, I saw him try and get up. It was knee on knee with Roston Griffiths in that challenge. He tried to get up and then he went back down again. So he's in a fair degree of discomfort at the moment. Fingers crossed, he's had his knee issues, so hopefully he's okay. Just on Melbourne City, watching the cohesion, Harps was touching on it before. It's quite amazing down here. Eric Momba, the manager, we're used to managers in the Hyundai A-League having their say to fourth officials, to their players. He sits there and does not say a word. Even now, on the bench, his players have come over. He's got nothing much to say. He's just completely comfortable in relation to his players' ability to carry out his plan. And so far, there's been only one moment of confusion when Curtis Good sent a ball over to Javier Cabrera's head. Cabrera wanted it to go to him. He yelled at him because it went somewhere else. That's the only moment I've seen Melbourne City's players look a bit confused out there. They're a well-oiled machine. Of course, they're behind on the scoreboard and they've got a bit to do, but it's good to watch.
Good stuff, Adam. Yeah, he's a ponderer, isn't he? Eric Mombert. It's the challenge that did the damage for Mitch Duke. He's had the magic spray applied and is moving touch freer now. But Adam's right that Duke has had his injury issues in the past. I think this was more just straight collision of legs, really. He's back with us, the Wanderers captain. That early lead given to the home side by Kwame Yeboah remains intact despite heavy weight of possession for Melbourne City. Just one really good stop by Daniel Lopar to deny Josh Brillante. But the Wanderers far from comfortable ending.
Well, there's only one team in the game at the moment. It's not the team that's leading. I mean, how bizarre can football be? But they look like they're in hang-on mode, the Wanderers, at the moment. And, you know, coaches all have to, just in picking up on Adam's observations of the Melbourne City coach, all coaches have their own way of communicating and managing and conducting themselves, but I think it's fair to say that this Melbourne City team and the players play with such control because the coach expresses such control. No need to panic. We know what we're doing, and they've gradually taken control of the game, and they'll believe, if they stick to this, that they'll overrun Western Sydney. Other side of the coin, Marcus Babbel, his team's got a great lead. Their defensive formation has been really good. I think the tactics defensively for the Wanderers have been great, but they've been desperately second best in the possessions. There's another giveaway from a really highly credentialed player. Schwegler, super player. Why the giveaway?
That brings Marcus Babbel off his seat. Just to never on the rule over his charges. Had he make a point or two. Does have the consolation of knowing that they, on average, concede less than a goal a game so far this season, but they've turned it over again, this time through Yeboah. Rather wasteful by Brillante. Races on for Kamau, but Bazanis was always going to make it ahead of him. And we're back to the more usual pattern of play with City on the ball. Wanderers doing the chasing. There's some good news for the Wanderers, though. Not just that they lead. Against Western United, they had just 2 shots on target in the whole game. They've had 2 already here today, maybe a third about to arrive. Sullivan couldn't quite squeeze it through for Yeboah. Might get a second bite at it. Didn't really go where he wanted it to. Now with Wilmering. Start again through Ziegler, and then latterly McGowan. No options that present themselves for Dylan McGowan. Lopar under pressure from McLaren, has to go long. Ziegler had to make it ahead of Noon. Good flick on by Muller. McGowan. Last touch off Kamau. See Bruce Kamau back, Andy, one of a host of players in the competition now from the African diaspora. Bruce has been around so long, we almost consider him a veteran these days.
Well, he's usually a sure thing to provide excitement, Bruce Kamau. He laid on the first goal, should have fallen tonight, so he's looked dangerous besides. But generally, it's been in fits and starts from the Wanderers, nothing more than that.
Just 1 win on the road out of their last 9. That's outside Victoria for City. It's certainly something that needs addressing. Rangy sort of a ball from Curtis Good, by the way. Step over from Noon, looks promising, but angled too close to Daniel Lopar. Veteran goalkeeper of over 300 games for St. Gallen in the Swiss Super League before heading to Australia during the off-season. Griffith sidestepping Yeboah.
It's really fascinating, Simon, when you get 2 teams well matched with quality players. Melbourne City, in the one-on-one exchanges, finding it much easier to turn out of trouble and find another pass than the Wanderers players are able to do.
Increasingly, the central defenders joining in with the attacks. Craig Noon's ball in again is too close to Lopar, but it's the centre-backs Good and Delbridge that are driving into that space left by Wanderers sitting back and inviting that pressure. So far, really, though, it's the downside for Eric Mombert is that they haven't, apart from that shot from Brillante, really put Lopar under sustained pressure.
No, that's true. The trend continues. You just think it's a matter of time.
Cabrera trying to shrug off the attentions of Georgievski. Good. Cabrera again. Now there's some space all, but Danny Jonro couldn't gather the ball in his stride, and the moment was lost for City. Jamison. Jonro. far in advance of McLaren, who again remains somewhat starved of service.
Yeah, a little bit there. All the City players are in good touch. The technique is good, tight. Just errors are rare.
City aiming for a little bit of club history tonight. They've been top of the A-League for 3 consecutive rounds. They did that once before under Warren Joyce back in 17-18, but never 4 weeks in a row. Georgievski takes it away from Griffiths. This could be promising for the Wanderers. Mitch Duke deflected. Right it goes. And goal kick is the verdict. And Dean Vazanis worried for a moment.
Well, a little bit of quality. Didn't look like much, but it was beautiful from Georgievski. And it should be a goal kick. It is going to be a goal kick because it was Mitch Duke angling inside and hitting the back of Nikolai Muller.
Daniel Georgievski with the earlier good work to rob Rostin Griffiths and create that little opening for the Wanderers. Saw an awful lot of that in pre-season, didn't we, with the 3 at the back system, then employed by Marcus Babbel. Georgievski high on one of the flanks, Wilmering on the other. Since reverted to the back 4. Certainly has worked defensively for the Wanderers. Half-time, City have had an awful lot of the ball. There's Jamison again drifting into that infield position that you were talking about pre-game. As we look at the As-Live ladder, that's what it would look like if it stayed the same at the end of 90 minutes tonight. If Wanderers get one more goal, then they would be top ahead of City. Half-time approaching. Craig Noon to lift it into the box. It came off for a Wanderer's head, and there was a snapshot, a half chance really only for Rostin Griffiths. And it was one that was difficult for him to control.
And he claims he was interfered with as well. Appealed for the corner. Deflection, nice work from Delbridge to keep the play alive.
Come on, Hubs, you know you want to say it. Good touch for a big man.
From Harrison.
I know you love that phrase.
I just admire anyone who can contort their body at short notice. Days are long gone for me.
Those hip flexors still playing up, are they? Kamau just got away from Jamison for a moment. Jamison is back with him now. It's beautifully retrieved by Kamau. That's great skill. Georgievski going to try and bend it, and Bazanis had to scramble away to his right to claw it behind for a corner.
Well, this is the way for the Wanderers to swing the balance back. A bit of quality. And there's a lot of perseverance here too, but this is quality from Kamau. And this is quality from Georgievski, who delivered a little bit of quality a moment earlier for the Mitch Duke shot. It's just quality. It's good players have to find their quality.
You fancy that might have crept in that corner. But for Bazanis' intervention, the former Wanderers keeper, of course. Well, he played very much second fiddle to Ante Kovic during his stint in Sydney's West. Clement Schwegler making absolutely certain the ball is spotted correctly. Now he will deliver. And it was Yeboah challenging Bazanis. Kamau then charged into Craig Noon. He says accidentally so. Chris Beath disagrees.
Well, I just saw 2 players charge into each other there. Maybe Bruce Kamau had a little bit more of an eye on the player than Craig Noon did. So I'll give the benefit of that doubt if there is any to the referee. who I should also hasten to add, a much closer view than I.
Again, a turnover from the Wanderers as we move into 2 additional minutes at the end of the first 45. It's really been the story, by and large, of their first half. Having said that, they have had 3 shots on target, Western Sydney, as opposed to just the 1 from Melbourne City. That'll be the question for Eric Mombert and his team at half-time, how they get a bit more quality in that final third. They've certainly been dominant in terms of possession and territory. All too often, the final third is where it's broken down for them. Across the face there of Jamison from Yeboah.
Yeah, there certainly was. Reached across.
Well, didn't miss, did he? Kwame Yeboah, competent player.
Well, ticking away to half-time. This has got Remy Najarine written all over it.
You took the words out of my mouth. I wonder whether he might be a game breaker, but like Keanu Bacchus, of course, he's only just back from international duty. Anyway, we shall see what Eric Mombert does in the second half. At the interval, it is Kwame Yeboah's goal who separates the two. It came very early on, 82 seconds by my watch. As the half progressed, City took charge, and Josh Brillante forced a fine stop out of Daniel Lopar. Scott Jamison perhaps still a little bit unhappy about that arm across the face from Kwame Yeboah, which he felt might have drawn sanction from ref Chris Beath. Wanderers finished the half a little bit stronger, a couple of chances for them, and they'll be happy with that scoreline at the interval. It's Western Sydney 1, Melbourne City 0. Let's go down to Adam Peacock.
Thank you, Simon. Melbourne City playing a lot of nice stuff, Mitchell Duke, but you've got the lead. What's different about you guys tonight? You look in control when you're going forward.
Yeah, I think we've got quite a lot of energy tonight. The bye weekend, I think, has done us good. We've been working a lot on our set plays and our defence as well, and then transition as well, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. It's probably one of the best halves of football we've played so far. You worried about them having a lot of ball, especially in this midsection? Not too much. It doesn't really end up in too much of a threat at the moment, so we're pretty happy. They're playing long balls in behind, and they haven't got too much size up there, so our big defenders are doing a pretty good job. Are you okay? Well, yeah, just a bit of a cork, mate. Go. Thanks, Mitchell Duke. We're off to a break here from Bankwest Stadium. We'll be back in a moment. Tara and Mark Bosnich will be there to analyse that first half. How can Melbourne City create pressure and build pressure and make it count for goals? We'll find out with the guys after the break.
Welcome back to your Friday night of football live from Bankwest Stadium, the Western Sydney Wanderers. And that man right there, Mitchell Duke, his side, they head into the sheds in the lead. 1 goal to the good against the table toppers, Melbourne City. What a first half of football we have seen here this evening. I'm Tara Rushton. It's great to have your company and the company of Mark Bosnich as well. We're looking at the Wanderers. A couple of changes in attack, Bosnich. They started really strong, they ended really strong, and they've got the goal early. What did you make of it all?
Well, I thought that for the first 20 minutes, the Western Sydney Wanderers played some of their best football of the season. That they were on the front foot. I remember I said to you before the game, get used to it, Tara. Melbourne City will have more. But that first 20 minutes, it was Western Sydney Wanderers all the possession. Got their early goal, deservedly took the lead in the end, you have to say, not for the first minute of play, of course. But from then, I think, I don't know, one of two things. Either they've mentally sort of said, we're doing so well, we're going to sort of take a bit of a breather, or probably the other side. The second thing I thought is that Melbourne City slowly started to get their rhythm after 20 minutes and then really started dominating the game. To be fair to Western Sydney Wanderers, as much as then Melbourne City had the dominance, they restricted them to one really good shot, which Lopar pulled off a magnificent save. And then, like you said as well, then the last seven or 10 minutes, slowly but surely got back into it as well. I think a lot of it, again, had to do with what we talked about at the start of the program. During that time between, say, 20 and 36, 37, they started to spread a bit too far. That plays right into Melbourne City's hands because of their lovely passing and what they do. So, but really good first half and a lot to look forward to. But I've got to say as well to Melbourne City, well done, because, when you lose like you did last week, then you concede a goal after a minute and a half. Big character to come back into the game like that.
We're going to take a look at that goal right now, because Melbourne City, they didn't really have a chance to settle into the game at all. Because next
we're still walking upstairs.
Bruce Kamau, Kwame Yeboah combining for this, Boz.
Superb, absolutely superb. All one touch, great ball across, and then wonderful by Kamau, and a really good finish as well. It's really, for me, that's lovely, incisive, exciting football. It's as exciting that you can get. One touch, really takes a lot of quality there. Right decision once again by the VAR, and there you go, 1-0 to the Western Sydney Wanderers. Great way to start, especially when you're playing at home.
You could see that instant and immediate impact that Bruce Kamau had on that right-hand side. Melbourne City, as we said, took them a little while to ease their way into the game. They did find their feet pretty quickly around that 20-minute mark,
That they did. That they didn't have to give a lot of credit to them, because I said, for me, and that's one of the big questions for tonight, was their character. A team of lesser character might have crumbled a bit and conceded another one, but they didn't. They started to get their passing game going. This man here, Brillante, was superb. They started to get their little runs. The fullbacks, as we said before the game, that wonderful article that I saw during the week on Twitter by that Shabab was saying one of them is always pushing forward when they start from the back, if you notice that. Not both of them at the same time. And then generally, when the time, there's that great save from Lopar, when the time is right, they start to make that run. They don't always get the ball, but what it does is it creates problems in terms of the defending side, because they don't know whether or not they're going to play the ball to that fullback. They end up leaving space, and they really know how to switch the ball really, really well. But they need a little bit more end product. So they need to start to get those runs, and not so much on the outside the box, but inside the box in those pockets. Receiving the ball in those situations is a different story, because now you make a mistake and it's a penalty.
On the flip side, they had all this possession. They were starting to create a couple of chances. Josh Brillante, amazing there, forcing that save from Daniel Lopar. But the Wanderers in the back end of what we just saw in that first half, yet again they came back and they were creating some really clear-cut chances as well. Yet again, Bruce Kamau down that right.
Absolutely fantastic. And we spoke about the game before the game. We said in our little inscription that we just had basically playing a 4-4-2, but it's not. In actual fact, when they're defending, they actually defend like a 4-2-3-1 if you have a look at it. When they're attacking, but it's Bruce Kamau and Muller on the other side who start a little bit in behind, and then one of them usually goes wide. And we've seen in the first half, usually it's Kamau. Muller does it on the other side, but he's always wary to make sure that he can make the distance back into midfield. But down this right-hand side, I thought Kamau's been absolutely fantastic. Mitchell Duke's given his usual energy. Yeboah as well, and he got off to a great start. I mean, this was fantastic play here from Kamau. Look at this, really, really good. And this is a really good save by Bazanis as well. Yeboah as well, who's come under a bit of criticism this season for maybe not being as effective as people thought he would be. But if you watch the work that he's being able to do, not only with the ball, but without the ball as well, it's actually creating a lot of space for other players to run into. So they need to keep doing that for the next 45 minutes. But like I said, for the first 20 minutes, best 20 minutes of football I've seen from the Wanderers all season.
Would Marcus Bubble be in the sheds happy with what his side's doing right now in terms of the improvement with the tweaks that he's made in
All right,
attack?
I'm going to step into Marcus Babble's shoes if I can. I hope
could
if
be
you watch
scary.
this later, and hopefully this is as accurate as possible. Deep down, he will be. But from a manager's perspective at halftime, if you tell that to your charges, to your players,
Yeah.
oh, that was brilliant. You run the risk of them going, oh, well,
Right.
we're winning 1-0, great. We're just going to... No, you're going to say, look, I'm really happy the way you played, but let's see if we can just do it for the whole half, not
Yeah.
just for 20 minutes, because it's only 1-0. Okay, and not until it's 3-0 with 3 minutes to go, then you can take your foot off the pedal. No taking your foot off the pedal, because you're playing against a very good team here.
That is the true test, and we're going to see how it all does pan out after this short break. A huge second half coming up on the other side between the Western Sydney Wanderers and Melbourne City. As Mark Bosnich said, can the Wanderers go full throttle? Can they get the job done against Melbourne City tonight?
Hello, hello, check 1, 2, 3. Yeah, headphones on.
Yes, hello.
Hello, can hear you clearly.
Hello, pseudo Marcus.
Yes, I can hear you.
Marvellous.
Cool.
Well, the Wanderers are delighted to be back in Parramatta, and they lead at the break against Melbourne City thanks to this early goal from Kwame Yeboah, who showed us a few of his dance moves on the sideline as well. They then had an anxious wait to see if VAR would rule it out, but after a slight delay, the goal was confirmed. And the Wanderers, who won just 3 home games, their temporary homes last season, are halfway to equaling that this season with that half-time advantage. And Marcus Babbel is the Wanderers coach, of course. He's standing by to talk to us. Marcus, thanks very much for your time. Happy with that first half?
Yeah, I think I saw many good stuff there. I think we deserved the lead. We had the better chances, but yeah, Melbourne City is a good side, so we have to be awake in the defense They have many positioning where they change, and yeah, we have to defend well to win this game.
Did you sit a little bit too deep at times in that first half?
Yeah, of course, but the pressure was also high from Melbourne City. So I always wish we dominate everyone, but this is not the truth. So we have to work hard to fight for these 3 points. And at the moment, I'm happy with the fighting spirit, and we know we can play a bit better. But I hope we can do it in the second half.
Wish you all the best. Thanks for your time, Marcus.
Thank you very much.
No changes made by either coach at the break, but breaking through the challenge there of Ziegler was Cabrera, forcing a fine save down to his left. Low from Daniel Lopar. The second time he's been seriously called into action. And Melbourne City, Andy Harper, starting the second half as they mean to go on.
Yeah, and Wanderers starting the second half as they finish the first. It's turning the ball over and being under pressure. Great burst from Cabrera. And quite right to have a shot from there. Good save by the keeper. Swinging away from him, but solid work. Expect him to make that save, of course, but still has to be made.
Did you agree with Marcus Bubble's assessment? Said he was overall relatively pleased with the way things had gone for his team first 45.
Well, I 100% concur with his reflection on his team's fighting spirit and attitude. I thought they were excellent. As I said in the commentary, I really liked the way they set up defensively. They just got a lot of work to do in possession.
Here's Mitch Duke, found by Wilmering, and he goes first time with the outside of the boot, which made it awkward for Delbridge. Duke again. Behind him is Schwegler, has to hurry. Cabrera had to be careful he didn't foul him, and referee Chris Beath was well stationed, saw nothing untoward. Wanderers have 3 away games to come on the back of this, so they'll want to secure another 3 points, at the very least maintain their unbeaten start to life back in Parramatta after all those problems that they had with their home games in inverted commas. Andy, over the last 3 seasons, they won only 12 out of 41 at their various home venues over that 3-year sequence.
Look, this place is much more than the talking point coming into the season. It continues to be a reference point, understandably so. And Melbourne City, for their part, are enjoying the experience of being here as well. They're playing a nice, fluent style of football against a very tenacious Wanderers outfit. A tenacious outfit, certainly, but one that needs to release its own qualities more so than they have so far.
Jamie McLaren hasn't had much of an opportunity to add to his prodigious goal tally so far this season. 7 in 3 games. And a hat-trick score, of course, last week, and on the losing side. Not too often that happens in a game of football. Here's Curtis Good. Bit of room for Griffiths. Intervention, though, by Schwegler. Right idea, just slightly overhit for Kamau.
Just a little bit off colour today, Kim and Schwegler. Made nice space to hit that pass and then overhit the pass. And not the first time this evening. He's such a wonderful player. Just expect him to make the complete pass every time he gets it, but it hasn't been the case tonight.
Daniel Wilmering with the throw. Young man born 19th of December 2000, the same day as Luis Figo won the Ballon d'Or. Doesn't that make you feel old? Now playing for his boyhood club. We've all heard the stories about him. Ball boy for the Wanderers. Great story. Here's Cabrera. Neat chest down for Brillante. Galloway with time. 3 in the box to try and pick out. He can only find Ziegler. Out of the air by Delbridge. And there's an offside flag further back. against Kwame Yeboah, I assume. Who challenged Delbridge for that aerial ball. Good, threading it through. Griffiths. Shown back towards halfway by Sullivan. Wide left is Jamison. Looking for the give and go with Jean-Rowe, but he was well tracked by Georgievski. Again, that defensive shape of the Wanderers is doing the job so far. Just the 1 second half scare, courtesy of Javier Cabrera, who continues to grow in stature himself in the A-League. Deft touch by Brillante, gets the return from Cabrera. Jean-Rowe. Jamison. So touch short for Noon, and Georgievski said, I'll have that. So now the Wanderers can look to spring a counter. It's Bruce Kamau in possession, Georgievski outside him. Yeboah and Duke herring towards the box. It's angled towards Duke, and Delbridge had to make it his, and he did.
Well, how good's that from Harrison Delbridge? Now releasing Georgievski. It's a dangerous ball. Mitch Duke is in the front position, steaming towards contact, and Delbridge gets there at the last and defends strongly. And over his shoulder, if he misses it, was Kwame Yeboah. So it was a header that needed to be won.
Just the third corner of the game. It's in front of the RBB. It's Pierman Schwegler to take. Gowan looking to attack it at the near post. It's over his head, and Delbridge again. That's good distance on the clearing header. Turned by Sullivan towards Schwegler on the right. Little step overs from Nick Sullivan. Nicely done by the youngster. And it's another corner. I think he enjoyed that, Nick Sullivan.
Well, he's spent most of the night worrying about Josh Brillante. You can understand that. He's a headache, but we saw him through the Melbourne victory, away victory, really grow into the game, and signs of that just then from Sullivan.
So Schwegler again. Ziegler perhaps looking to attack it from a long way back. Delbridge again. Georgievski just ever so slightly on his heels, but Scissor kicks it back out towards Schwegler, who unfortunately for the Wanderers is not quick enough to get back on side.
And then, I don't know, this might be hypercritical. I'm a huge admirer of his, but he knows he's offside. Let the ball go out for a throw-in and box your opponents.
Keep the pressure on.
It's just an indication that he's just slightly off tonight for me.
You have to think about the game as well, don't you? Easy from up in the comms box, of course. Here's Griffiths. Brillante. Fighting Galloway forward. Brillante continued the run, but he was off balance under pressure from Yeboah.
And compare Melbourne City through Buzanis, how quickly he wants to relaunch an attack, with this from Lopar, who's taken the heat out of the opportunity, taken the ball back and launched it, and Melbourne City have won it. Back they come again.
Slip from Wilmering might have opened the door there from Cabrera. His touch took him wide, but he still found the angle for the cross, and it's a beauty as well. Steered clear by Georgievski. Hang on, penalty kick. There's a foul inside the box, and Chris Beath did not miss it. It's on Denny Jean-Rowe. A push inside the penalty area. VAR's having a look at it, but Chris Beath is adamant that this is a spot kick for Melbourne City. I don't know about that.
Neither do I. but as if to labour the point. He's got a handful of his shirt. I don't think it's going to be overturned. And it's Spiegler.
And Spiegler has been cautioned as well.
It's a tough one to overturn. It doesn't look like it's worthy of a penalty to me in the first instance, but having made that decision, can the VAR say that's a clear and obvious error?
I think that's highly contentious. Highly contentious. But it has to be enough of an error, of course, in terms of the VAR for them to overturn it, and they can't see enough of an error. So Chris Beath's original decision stands. The second time at that end of the ground that the VAR has had to get involved.
Well, I mean, there's so many subplots to this penalty. McLaren looking to add to his tally.
Well, he's barely had a sniff tonight. He won't get a better opportunity than this. McLaren against Lopar, and McLaren does not miss and maintains his record of having scored in every A-League game this season and in all competitions for club and country. That is now 18 goals in 12 matches. 1-1.
Well, the Wanderers players are a collection of them, are livid with the decision. You completely understand it. It looked highly contentious to me. But as a subplot, interesting that it's Spiegler, the man in the way. Cabrera does well. And this cross immediately, Simon, immediately comes on the back of that Daniel Lopar making the save, slowing the game down and then lumping the ball upfield. Melbourne City win it and come back and win the penalty, or are given the penalty, however you want to term it. Doesn't matter to Jamie McLaren, who's just going to put it in the back of the net.
So a little A-League record is now very much in the offing for Jamie McLaren. Can he become the first A-League player, as we mentioned in the first half, to score 2 or more goals in 4 consecutive games? He has just moved past Wanderers' favourite Mark Bridge, incidentally, into 5th on the all-time list with his 64th A-League goal. However contentious its arrival may have been. And the Wanderers are pegged back, and they are going to make the first substitution of the game. Keanu Bacchus is going to be with us next break in play. I wonder whether that will be for Tyrone Spiegler. We shall see. Foul by Kamau. Might give the Wanderers the opportunity to make that change. And probably on the balance of play, if not chances created, Harps, it's difficult to argue that Melbourne City don't deserve to be level. It's Nick Sullivan, incidentally, that's being withdrawn in favour of Keanu Bacchus. But I'm sure that will be of scant consolation to Marcus Babbel.
Yeah, well, they'll look at the number of chances they had on goal compared to Melbourne City, despite the possession stat. But I just, to me, it's been brewing for the Wanderers. They're just caught in trouble, not being able to hold on to the ball, and it's telling that that penalty sequence came and Daniel Lopar makes the save and refuses, and it doesn't take the option, has no interest at all about getting his team attacking again, and they paid the price.
Wanderers wanting a foul on their man Kamau. The crowd's getting a little agitated, Adam Peacock, out there.
Yes, everyone who's anything to do with Western Sydney Wanderers, fans, RBB, obviously, Marcus Babbel definitely came up and had a lengthy conversation with Stephen Lucas, the 4th official, just blowing up, just could not quite comprehend what Chris Beath has come up with, and indeed the players as well. So there's a lift in intensity from everyone in the building.
Sure is. Thanks, Adam. Little darting run from Daniel Georgievski lifted the mood a tad for the Wanderers. One in the air aerially by Brillante. Keanu Bacchus snapping into the challenge with Griffiths. Wanderers trying to wrestle the initiative back. It's Mitch Duke. Slings it in. Poor clearance. Kwame Yeboah. Still Yeboah. Oh, almost found the angle, didn't he? And almost squeezed it betwixt goalkeeper and post. They know it was close.
Well, they sprung to life. Some excitement from the Wanderers. Beautiful work from Yeboah. Even better work from Dean Bazanis. Positioned nicely and negotiated the immediate trouble well. Look at this from Bazanis. Really difficult spot for him to block. But he does it so coolly and so cleanly. But a good response from the Wanderers. Started by Bruce Kamau's tackle in midfield. Pass forward.
Denied a brace, at least for now. This is Dylan McGowan. Georgievski. Burst clear of Sean Rowe. Kamau's onside. That's the low delivery. It comes off Curtis Good, and the Wanderers will have a corner. Pressure building for the home team.
Berating himself, berating himself. Was in fantastic place, and importantly, he had numbers in the box to hit and well-placed numbers in the box. He couldn't negotiate that first barrier. They win the corner, but there might have been more on offer.
See what Schwegler can do with it. Again, Ziegler looking to attack from the edge of the penalty box, but Delbridge not for the first time. He's the tallest piece of timber, well won back by Kamau, slung in by Keanu Bacchus and headed clear by Curtis Good. Oh, the deftest of touches will give the Wanderers the foul ultimately, as Georgievski is bowled over by Good, and Schwegler wants a card for that challenge. He's saying, well, I got one at the other end.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if it's the player's place to appeal, although they do, but he's quite right. It's a beautiful touch. I mean, this is Schwegler at his best. And Jamison's dropped anchor to provide a block, and he should be sanctioned for it. I'm at a loss to explain sometimes how defenders are rewarded. We saw it in the W League earlier. Defenders are rewarded for that type of callous anti-football.
What it has certainly done is bring this game to the boil. There's an awful lot of energy out there from both teams at the moment, and this could be a crucial moment. Schwegler, good shape to it again. Delbridge. He's pretty much everything in the air, doesn't he? As I suppose is his right, given his stature.
Well, if Harrison Delbridge was paid per defensive header inside the penalty box, Melbourne City would break the salary cap. They'd have no choice. Incredible.
That's his vital stats from tonight.
Thoroughly impressive. And really, why wouldn't he be in consideration by Graham Arnold? What does he lose by comparison with some players in the squad?
I'm sure Arnie's listening somewhere. He's got a bit to wait before he selects his next squad, of course. They don't play another World Cup qualifier until home game against Kuwait next March. Maybe he's been put off by a pseudo-American accent. He lived over there for many years, of course. Our first City change is imminent. Craig Noon to be withdrawn. And Lachlan Wales, who's had a tough week off the pitch, as I'm sure you've heard, with those sanctions for the incident when he was on tour with the Olyroos in Cambodia early on this year. He gets the chance to refocus on the stuff that really matters, which is the football. Schwegler. Well controlled by Yeboah. Deflection made it awkward. Drive through an awful lot of traffic there. Chris Beath will bring them back. I think he's been the Wanderers' best tonight, Kwame Yeboah.
He's wriggled. He's paid the first free kick. Surely there was an infringement closer to the penalty area. So he gets inside. That's deemed the foul, but he's brought down there, right on the edge of the box. Why has Beath brought this back?
Maybe he has to go with the first contact.
The ref can do what he wants. I'm playing advantage, right? Oh, there's another foul. Where's the advantage? I mean, maybe... Anyway, enough from me.
I'm guessing you're not happy, Harps.
Just chucked his Fitbit off, so I lose count of his 10,000 steps.
I reckon he's over that. Certainly more over than you and me tonight, anyway.
I don't know, I've worked that stairwell pretty well tonight.
You have, in fairness. Anyway, the end of it all. Schwegler's free kick. It's been to a decent area, but almost curling towards the gloves of Dean Bazanis, who again is looking for that early release. A lot of the passing lanes were blocked off by the Wanderers. So Jamison getting a few boos. Former Wanderers player, of course, played in a grand final losing team in 15-16. Well, his first involvement is a good one to link up with McLaren, and it produces a City corner off McGowan. Let's see if Delbridge can be as effective in the opposition penalty area. He's taken his position, along with Roston Griffiths and Curtis Good, three tall players, perhaps to try and pick out. Belante's there as well to cause a bit of mischief. Delbridge did go for it, as did Griffiths, but Griffiths has caught the man and is not happy with Chris Beath's decision, and is then squaring up to Dylan McGowan. It's all a little bit unfriendly out there. Meantime, Chris Beath wants attention quickly for Georgievski, but Roston Griffiths completely lost his head.
He's lost it twice. He wants to watch it because there are cameras everywhere. It's kicked off in the background as well. Smiling assassin, Scotty Jamison.
All rather unsavoury, and all because of that incident involving Griffiths and Georgievski. Griffiths protested the decision to award a free kick against his team vociferously. Let's have another look at it, Andy.
There looked to be reasonably heavy contact there on Daniel Georgievski, accidental or otherwise. There's a couple of balls in the paddock leading with the horns. They want to watch it, all of them.
Well, look,
I don't know what Roston's reacted
Griffiths. Yeah, of course it's a free kick. But I think he's entitled to go for that ball, even though he's caught his opponent.
Yeah, no question. But is he? I mean, Daniel Georgievski, the innocent party of this, was collected as well.
Agreed.
He's getting the word in the ear. He's developed a bad habit of talking to himself.
Played havoc with Daniel Georgievski's haircut, I can tell you that. He's had to put the Alice band back in. A bit of gauze, perhaps to stem some bleeding in the mouth as well. Now Chris Beath will turn his attentions to Roston Griffiths and decide upon what sanction, if any, he will administer to the Melbourne City midfielder. There is, I can tell you, no VAR involvement in this. They can only rule on red cards, of course. And they haven't spoken to Chris Beath as far as we're aware, so yeah, it's a yellow each, and I think that's as much for the retaliation as for the foul itself. And the square up with McGowan. Taking a couple of angry pills there. Dylan McGowan was...
It's quite a reaction, wasn't it?
Happy to grin his way through it. I think it's frustration as well from Roston Griffiths.
I don't really understand that frustration. I think he's played so well tonight. He's been really on top of his game. There was certainly a flashpoint there. I can't decipher it.
It's his third booking of the season. Roston Griffiths. Dylan McGowan gets his first. Griffiths perhaps still eager to atone for the fact that he conceded a penalty, of course, last week. One of the two penalties City conceded. Georgievski needs more running repairs. Still spitting blood. He wants his medical team to get on with it as well, Georgievski. He knows that his team are short-handed and that City are dangerous. So the Wanderers back up to their full complement, and we've got 20 minutes of this contest to run. Start of another big weekend, of course, of football on Fox Sports. We've got Adelaide against Melbourne, victory to come tomorrow. What a contest that one normally is. And the grand final rematch, Perth and Sydney. Wellington take on Brisbane, and then on Sunday it's the Mariners against Western United. Newcastle Jets with the bye this week as City prepare to make their second change. Denny Jonro has got through a ton of work tonight and the victim of one or two hefty challenges himself. Takes his leave, and the Uruguayan Adrian Luna is with us. Thoughts on Denny Jonro, Hubs?
Good player, did well. Great running to the box for the penalty situation. Contributed well. See what Luna's got in his kit bag. Let's try and edge this for a win away from home for Melbourne City.
City still well on top in terms of the overall stats of the game. 60% possession. 368 passes to 166 completed. Georgievski chewing on the cotton wool to try and staunch the flow of blood from his mouth. Jamison wins it ahead of Kamau. Awkward bouncing ball for McGowan to deal with. And it'll break here for Jamie McLaren. The angle's narrow. It's a tap in for Josh Brillante. And Melbourne City have come from behind. And it's the unlikely goal scorer, Josh Brillante. His first A-League goal since scoring against the Wanderers in a Sydney derby over 2 years ago.
Well, he just never stops, Brillante. Look at the starting place from the run, deep in midfield. But the lead-up work was fantastic from Jamie McLaren to get the advantage position as that ball was floated over the top. Work in front of McGowan was outstanding from McLaren. And from there, he set it up beautifully. And the lung-bursting work of Brillante is rewarded. Lachie Wales contributing as well. Smart play from Melbourne City's players. McLaren to Brillante to the back of the net, and from behind to the lead. And now what do the Wanderers do in response?
There we go, round 3 it was. Back in 17-18, and he scored in that 2-2 draw between Sydney and the Wanderers at the SFS. And a fair while between drinks. But this more advanced role gives him that opportunity to get into those sorts of positions. And Jamie McLaren adds an assist to his penalty goal. And now the Wanderers, Andy, staring down the barrel of being beaten at their new home for the first time. Unless they can mount a comeback. Here's Kamau, who got there ahead of Jamison. Schwegler lets it run. Bacchus. To his left is Daniel Wilmering. Not the best delivery. They'll get another go through Bacchus here. Georgievski having a stretch and just couldn't control the ball, which allowed Lachie Wales to nip in. And the linesman's had a change of heart. He's initially given the throw to the Wanderers and then popped the flag up the other way.
Well, this is a huge 15 minutes for the Western Sydney Wanderers, Simon. A huge 15 minutes.
see what they're made of. Sliding in was Griffiths.
Because, you know, we posed on the back of Boz's prescient pre-match comments. The early goal allowed them to slip back into let's defend our way through to the 3 points, and they haven't been able to break free of that. They've had some chances on goal, it's true, but in general terms, they've shown no appetite and less ability to dominate the possession at home against Melbourne City. And really, they've been sitting ducks, continually giving the ball away. And this team, top of the table, full of quality, is going to take advantage of it.
Well, Marcus Bubble's seen enough. He's going to make a change. And Nikolai Muller is going to be withdrawn. It's going to be one German for another. And on comes marquee striker Alexander Meyer. In times of crisis, you turn to your big names. And there's none bigger than Meyer. If nothing else, might make it interesting. Aerial duel with Harris and Delbridge, two massive units. And they go and stand side by side. Free kick from Schwegler. Dylan McGowan's peeled away. Back across the face. Meyer involved almost immediately. What a fascinating last quarter of an hour we've got here now.
Well, I like the timing of the change. There's no point waiting. You've got to affect the match now, and you've got to get your big name and your biggest player physically in with enough time to do something.
The turn ball from Kamal wasn't of the highest quality, and Jamison stole in for City. McLaren trying to hold the ball up. Ziegler stretching, but it breaks for Brillante. City march forward and seal the game with a third. Cabrera. A little sandwich for Galloway, ended up in the rough. You picked it first half, Harps. You said that City would be patient. They knew that if the stats continued to favour them with possession, chances on goal, ultimately they would get their reward, and they have done. Now it's on the Wanderers. Here's Wilmering in a good position on the left, needs a good cross. Well, he did pick out Duke at the near post, so that was awfully difficult to execute.
Yeah, I think it was a mishit from Wilmering. Beautiful ball this from Bacchus. And waves of red and black going forward is what the home fans want to see. But that's not the option that Wilmering was looking for, although Mitch Duke did well to get anything towards goal at all. But a good raid down the left by the youngster. Wilmering just needs to adjust on that cross.
Well, there's no prizes for sitting back now for Western Sydney. They've got to go for it. Otherwise, they're going to suffer back-to-back losses for the first time this season, and that promising start to the campaign begin to look like a bit of a fading memory. It's only 2 matches, of course, but don't want to lose at home. That's a poor ball from Kamal. Hear the groans of frustration around Backwest Stadium. Good intervention by Wilmering. Duke gets the moving forward in the right way, but it's got caught up between the feet of Kwame Yeboah. He rescues the situation. Back they come through Keanu Bacchus. Daniel Drajewski has stolen forward down the right and would have been a good option. Bacchus didn't see him.
Well, that spluttering, stuttering attack sort of sums up where the Wanderers are at the moment. You know, good players, under-hitting passes, over-hitting passes, tripping over the ball. Not so Melbourne City. Now look at this work from Jamie McLaren. Instead of leaping in to challenge, he very cannily takes up a front position, realising he doesn't actually have to win that ball, he just has to force the turnover. And it's such good, smart play from McLaren, who then just quietly bounces up to put the ball on for Brillante for the goal. It's outstanding work. It's instinctive work from Jamie McLaren. Full credit to him.
Conversely, Harps, how slow were the Wanderers to react to that potential danger?
Well, a lot of them were throwing heads and hands to the air when Brillante arrived before any of the red and blacks. So too late now. They've got to fix the situation.
Confirmation of a third City change. Nathaniel Atkinson is with us in place of Cabrera. Georgievski picks up Meyer, tees it up. It's 2-2. It's Kwame Yeboah with a brace in front of the RBB. And the substitution worked to a large degree for Marcus Babbel. Maya gets an assist. Yeboah the brace.
This one sort of sets up a finish. Just a little bit. And speaking of finishes, excellent work. Nudge in the back. Bruce Kamau holds his feet. Delightful cross. Sensational awareness from Maya. Sensational awareness to head that back. Everyone's expecting him to go for goal himself, but he squares the header, and it's not easy to do. But it's beautiful delivery from Georgievski. That's miraculous, really, so difficult, and that finished just quietly. Could have gone horribly wrong, but for the Wanderers, it goes so beautifully right. And now we've got 10 minutes of helter-skelter to settle this one.
First time he's hit a double in the A-League, Kwame Yeboah, as the Poznan is in full flow away to our left. And just at that precise moment when you sense that really the Wanderers were on the canvas, they found an equaliser. Just to echo your sentiments, that is a terrific assist from Alexander Maya, showing all his experience and awareness of where Yeboah was stationed. Fully vindicating Marcus Babbel's decision to bring him off the bench to try and turn the game back in the Wanderers' favour. Now can they go on and win it? Or will City have the final say? Threaded through by Griffiths, and Lachlan Wales onside. And he'll get the corner off Dylan McGowan.
That's a fantastic run off the ball from Lachie Wales. He demanded he got that ball with the running behind and was fed nicely. Wins the corner. Great energy off the bench from Lachie Wales. The substitutes have all contributed for both teams.
Lachie Wales with the corner. Not the best delivery, it must be said, and it was cleared at the near post by Maya. Turned by Jamison accurately too towards Wales. Here's Nathaniel Atkinson. One of those Ollie Roos who's had a difficult week. It's a decent delivery into the box, and Ziegler has to keep that away from the clutches of Wales at the expense of another corner. A loose ball was there for the taking.
Well, it was, but Lopar communicated well. Patrick, get rid of this one. There's someone on your hammer, and he's dived in full stretch. Great to see Ziegler back. Makes a big difference for the Wanderers. We only saw little bits of him last year, racked by injury, but certainly right in the centre of all the defensive action for the Wanderers.
It's a training ground move. They work it back for Galloway, and Delbridge for the first time wins a header tonight, but it's not quite as effective as his ones at the other penalty area.
At the other end, that's an effective header.
Yeah,
just
it is, yeah.
Any contact up and away, but you've got to have a little bit more refinement.
City get the decision subsequently, which Georgievski's not happy with, and there's a little bit of a coming together with Scott Jamison.
He might have to explain the blood dribbling down his chin.
Yeah, Chris Beath wants him to go and get further attention for that. Georgievski is cooking. We saw on Matchday Saturday last week when he was our special guest on Fox how funny and engaging a character Daniel Georgievski is off the pitch, but on it, he's a fiery competitor. So the Wanderers undermanned just for the moment. Still trying to work on Georgievski. Looks like they've just stuck a piece of foam in his mouth. Anything to try and stop the blood so he can re-enter the fray. Because these are crucial minutes for both these two teams. Backus had a swing at it. Wilbraham didn't know where the ball was. Managed to clear his lines. 5.5 minutes to go. It's been an absorbing night at Bankwest Stadium. And this is Nathaniel Atkinson. He got things completely wrong with Luna.
Daniel Georgievski's still off the field. The Wanderers playing a man less. You know, I don't know why. Look, Daniel's bleeding's not his fault. It's not the Wanderers' fault. Why does the game have to go on if a player has to get seen to? Conversely, players going down, milking injuries, and are being allowed to leave the field after they've stopped an attack and then invited straight back on. Where's the consistency in this?
Adam Peacock has maybe got a view. He's pitch side for us, Adam.
Well, I know one thing. Daniel Georgievski won't be on match day Saturday tomorrow looking like this, I hope. My goodness. Stephen Lucas said you have to get it taped up. The thing won't stop bleeding. He was putting gauze pads in it. He said, no, that's not good enough. It has to be taped up. So the poor guy's gone out there mummified. What a ridiculous look.
We've seen that before in the A-League a few times, haven't we? I seem to remember, was it Damien Morey many years ago? Shane Smeltz had half his face taped up. Anyway, Georgievski's back with us. And the Wanderers are better off for that. Here's Bacchus. Georgievski wants the ball. He's faced by his old pal, Scott Jamieson. 2 was too many. 3 was a serious crowd for Georgievski to deal with. And City launch it upfield for McLaren. Good sliding challenge that by Ziegler. Beautifully timed.
That's what you want from the centre halves. The striker's worked on the outside of you, rounds the ball up, has a pretension of looking up and doing something, and whooshka. Jamie McLaren, thankfully, straight back to his feet. But that's exactly what you want from your centre half. I mean, Jamie McLaren's policeman at the back, Curtis Good, and particularly Harrison Delbridge, give plenty of that sort of service.
By and large, Wanderers have kept McLaren away from the ball for the most part. Fortunately, he's scored the penalty. And the one time he did escape, he set up Josh Brillante for the second City goal. I don't think that tape's going to stay on too long, do you? Flapping away in the breeze. Crowd of just over 12,000 inside Bankwest tonight. They've been pretty well entertained. Here's the run from McLaren. Marshalled again by Ziegler. He drops for Atkinson. Ziegler again. He's had a good night.
Gone up a notch too, hasn't he? With his team stretched, conceding the lead, then falling behind, and he's really muscled up to get his team back into the contest. It's been a fabulous closing to this game. Plenty of spice too, which is a good thing.
Austin Griffiths right at the heart of it. Luna. And it goes off Georgievski. Wales is the target. To a touch off Wilmering. Reminder, 3 big games to come tomorrow. Adelaide, Melbourne victory, Perth, Sydney FC, Wellington, Brisbane. Here's Nathaniel Atkinson perhaps with a chance to win it. And the ricochet favours Lachlan Wales here. There's 3 in the box to pick out if he can find one. Low par. Almost embarrassed at his near post, but just stuck out a strong arm. It's well played by Kwame Yeboah.
No, and Mitch Duke. And Spiegler. And then Wilmering. So that was a good exit strategy from the Wanderers. One more little task, having actually opened the tin, one more little task and they were away. Didn't quite work for them on the near touchline.
Duke being hotly pursued by Galloway. It's great feat by Mitch Duke. It's not the cross he or his teammates wanted. Did the hard work.
It's really inexplicable. Beautiful little shift of his feet to deal with Galloway. And then a rush of blood, just couldn't control himself, overhit the pass. What a great chance that was for the Wanderers approaching the end of the 90.
Maybe still more chances to come for Western Sydney. Here's Kwame Yeboah. 2 goals tonight. He tricks his way past the defender and gets it in towards Meyer. It's Alexander Meyer trying to squeeze it in with ever so deft footwork at that near post. Bazanis stood strong, and the Wanderers have a corner. It might have been more.
Excellent from Dean Bazanis. Excellent from Meyer. Look at this from Yeboah. Those spaghetti hips. Beautiful work. And again, the composure and holding his ground. Bazanis just pushing it wide to save, but concede the corner.
Into 5 additional minutes. And the Wanderers pushing for the winner. Tillman Schwegler to take. Helped on at the near post by Ziegler. And Alex Meyer can't get a piece of it. Oh, what a rousing finale we've had here. For so long, Andy, it was a game of cat and mouse, really. City with all the possession. Wanderers happy to sit deep. Now they've got some chasing to do. Wilmering in particular. It's Lachlan Wales to pull it back. It's Jamie McLaren. He just cannot miss, can he? Jamie McLaren hits a double once again. A new A-League record for him. 2 or more goals in 4 consecutive games. And more importantly, has he won the points for Melbourne City? Remarkable.
Well, too much speed in behind Lachie Wales. He's done so well off the bench. And then just too much space to turn. The Wanderers' defence overcommit. Reading Lachie Wales hitting a ball into the 6-yard box, but they didn't reckon on the cutback, and equally they didn't reckon on Jamie McLaren peeling off that initial run. Finds him beautifully, does Wales. And then McLaren is on autopilot, finds the back of the net.
Make that 9 A-League goals in just 4 appearances this season. Incredible. He's not had an awful lot of opportunities tonight, but he only needs 1. Or 2 if you count the penalty, of course. Just when the Wanderers seem to be mounting an injury time case, maybe to win the game themselves. And as you say, Harps, a lot of credit goes to Lachie Wales for the assist. And McLaren still had an awful lot to do. Have the Wanderers got anything left? They've got a corner, which Keanu Bacchus is in a hurry to take. Is there one final twist? Floated in by Bacchus, but it's too close to Bazanis. He'll take all the time he needs. Yeah, well, that's about a summation of the situation those Wanderers fans faces.
The first time all game, Bazanis has taken the ball and looked to kill things. Understandably, when they're in front. Even the rest of the game, it's a key. And that bears stark comparison, Simon, to the sequence that led up to the Melbourne City penalty, which was Daniel Lopa actually trying to stop the momentum of the game. And then with Melbourne City's defence set, he had no one to roll the ball short to, so he has to punt it long. Who wins? Melbourne City bounce the ball back upfield, win the penalty, and Bob's your uncle. To their credit, the Wanderers have really stirred in the last 15 minutes. But it looks like just leaving them a little bit short, although one mustn't write them off too soon.
And Santa Timo running pretty thin. There was a foul on Duke, and that's why Chris Beath will bring them back. He waited for the advantage.
So Tillman Schwegler, who has not been at his best today, he has still delivered some magical moments. He's worked very, very hard, but he hasn't been at his particular best. And can he find that from this set piece? There's not going to be many other opportunities after this one for the Western Sydney Wanderers.
Jamison picked up a yellow card, incidentally, from Chris Beath for that challenge on Duke, which has produced this free kick, and it might well be the Wanderers' last chance. So Pierman Schwegler has got to get it right. Into a decent area, up in the air by Goods, back in by McGowan. Here's Ziegler trying to tee up a teammate. It was all too tight in there for them. Quick glance at the watch by Chris Beath. Time almost up. Full-time whistle goes. And Melbourne City record their first ever win in Parramatta to move 4 points clear at the A-League Summit. And look at what it means to Eric Mombert and his coaching staff. Jamie McLaren, the hero once again. Another double for the man who just can't miss in front of goal for Eric Mombert's team this season. He has 9 this campaign. Remarkable stats. Marcus Babbel is the loser, and the Wanderers lose back-to-back for the first time this season, despite a brace from Kwame Yeboah, who was excellent throughout. It was a rip-roaring contest, this one, but in the end, it has gone City's way. Western Sydney Wanderers 2, Melbourne City 3. Well, a terrific contest, and the Wanderers are beaten for the first time at their new venue at Bankwest Stadium. Jamie McLaren, you just cannot keep him down at the moment, can you? Let's get some reaction now with Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. A bit happening down here. Scott Jamison just went over to the RBB and they told him to pretty much go away. I'll let Josh Rolante scull that one, and also tell you that